From my break, and I wanted to give you guys an update on how the TDM meeting went for our foster daughter. So it was our first team meeting, and as I stated in the previous video, we have had very little contact with DSS since our foster daughter was first placed with us. So today was the most contact we've had and the most information that we have gotten, like, all in one sitting, which was really nice. But Cody was unable to attend today because we did not have any part in, like, the scheduling of this meeting. So unfortunately we were told less than 24 hours before it was supposed to happen, and both him and I needed to work. So I tried to just get on the phone call, at my job, and I was able to successfully complete the meeting. I was interrupted a few times, but I was able to get through it. And then Cody, literally like 2 minutes before the meeting was supposed to start, he was already in the online room to have the meeting start, and he got a call, so he had to leave. And he was gone for the entire meeting. So I'm going to have to fill him in on, everything that happened. And hopefully he doesn't have any questions. That's a huge bummer of not being there, is because if, your partner has questions, they're not there to ask. As well as just, it's nice to have two people listening to the same thing. So that way you all both get the same information. Nothing is forgotten or even just misinterpreted when you go to tell somebody. So hopefully I can go ahead and relay the message as well as I can. But it was a really long meeting. It's about an hour and a half. So there's a lot to go through. There's not a whole lot of details that I can share with you all just to keep her privacy, but I will say that one of the biggest things that I guess I wasn't expecting was just maybe the time frame of what they were thinking as far as her time of placement being with us. When she first was brought to us, there was already mention of a family member trying to basically get her to go live with them, but they live out of state. So now that she's been in foster care, the process to do that is a bit longer. It's called an ICPC. I don't really remember what it stands for. They literally just told me, but this is our second time dealing with it, because our first foster daughter was doing the same thing, and it took a long time. I feel like it was a very confusing process, and every single step just took forever. I think a lot of that had to do with our first foster daughter's family was kind of dragging their feet, not really doing everything they needed to do. So in this case, it sounds very different. It sounds like the family is really interested in doing everything possible to get her. So hopefully it'll move quicker and smoother for her. But they're saying that this process can take up to a year to go the ICPC route. So I wasn't expecting that time frame, and the family's reaction, on the call, they also were not expecting that time frame. I think we were all under the assumption that, she might be with us for a few months, but nothing too crazy. However, we were all a little bit misguided in that thought. So it is what it is. I mean, we're happy to have her. It's just sad if you look at it from her point of view, because the longer that she's with us, the more attached she's going to get. And right now she's at that age where she's so little, I don't think she'll remember a lot of this, but she's going to start getting older to the point where maybe she will start to remember things and really create a bond and attachment. So it does worry me a little bit with the time frame given, just because if it does take that long, I feel like another move to this family member's house could potentially be a little bit more traumatizing for her. But you know, I think everything happens for a reason, and we're going to go ahead and just do our part in this, which is to give her a safe place. You know, while DSS and the bio family work out a plan. And of course, we're a part of that plan, and we're there in the long run. Like, if the case plan fell through and things like that, it's just difficult to be a part of that conversation. That was the first time I had been a part of a conversation with biological parents. Our first foster daughter, we had contact with family members such as grandparents and uncle, but the parents had been kind of like out of the picture. So with this case, we actually had contact with biological parents, and that was hard, like, to just hear in their voices, like, you can just tell like how upset they are. And I really appreciated the dad's transparency with, like, he was just basically saying, like, look, I know we have problems and like we're willing to work on it, but our first priority is getting her back, and however that may look, like, she at least just needs to be with family. I mean, like, they even said, like, no offense to like the foster parents or anything, but like, she just belongs with family. And as a really strong family oriented person as I am, I can totally understand that, and I didn't take any offense to it. Like, I knew where they were coming from. I think any of us, like, given the option, like, would you rather, you know, your child go into the foster care system or stay with a family member? I think any of us would choose to be with a family member. So I get that, but at this point, it's just kind of going through the steps and the motions to do things legally in the correct way, but it's just a very long process, and that kind of breaks my heart for the family, but also, you know, the baby, because like I said, I just don't want to break her heart in the end, that she's getting so attached and used to us and a routine, and then just to kind of uproot all of that again. Like, I do think that if the other family members are a good fit, I do think that they should try to do that as soon as possible, just to make anything just as less traumatizing as possible. But I get that they have to do a lot of work, and like, there's paperwork involved on their end. They have to go through a home study, background check, fingerprinting, psychological evaluations. They have to go to get medical checkups. I mean, there's so many things that you have to do in order to have this ICPC process go through and to be approved. So I get it. It's time consuming, but I just wasn't expecting a year. So it's definitely going to be something that I want to kind of just talk to Cody about and make sure that he's aware of how much time they're thinking this is going to take, and fill him in more on the specifics too, and the details and certain things that were said. But also certain things that I found out, like when I got the call to accept our foster daughter, I was told like bare minimum, like maybe like 3 or 4 details I was told. And I was told that because that's all they knew. So having the biological parents on the phone and like certain questions being directed at them, we really got the chance to have these answers like straight from them. And it put a lot of things into perspective. I understand more now why she was initially put into care. And like I said, I respect and appreciate the dad's honesty in admitting that there's some issues and that it is in her best interest to go with a family member at first, but definitely to have reunification still on the table. just to make sure that she's at least with family while they get themselves straight. Like, I can definitely appreciate that. But he did go more into depth of what their problems were, and it meant a lot to me to know that they were aware of what their issues were. And then, the mom had to do the same thing. And I just feel like recognizing what your problems are is obviously always going to be the first step in fixing them. Some people are very ignorant to what their problems are, and they think they're doing no wrong, or, they'll play the victim and be like, they took my kids for no reason. Like, obviously, there was some things going on. They need to be corrected. And I just really appreciated him being transparent, especially on the phone with like a bunch of strangers that you've never met before, and to just flat out say, like, here's what's going on. I think that was a really good indicator that they are serious about getting her back. So it sounds like we will be having Little Miss Thang for a while, which is good. I mean, she's a sweetie, we don't mind having her at all, but the hard part is just the unknown, the constant changing. And I feel like sometimes we get some information and then it maybe isn't completely correct, and then that changes. And so that's the most stressful part, I feel like, about foster care so far, has just been the misinformation, or the lack of communication. It makes everything that much harder because you just don't really ever know anything, which is hard for my personality type. I'm super personality type A, and I want to know everything. I want to be in control of everything. I want to, get everything figured out and planned out and know where everybody's going to be and what their responsibilities are. And I got lists for days. I mean, it's just how I am. So foster care has definitely been a huge struggle for me in that area of just constant changes. But I feel like all in all, we got a good case plan put together. And not only did we get a good case plan put together, but they let me know when her next court date would be. So they're going to go ahead and present that case plan to the judge. And then we can really kind of start rocking and rolling on getting her to a family member and just going through the process. But I will, as always, keep you all updated, and let me know if you guys have any questions. See you later.